Hello, everyone, and welcome to the CPA Moms podcast. I'm Nicole, your host and the brand ambassador of CPA Moms, where we believe that real success is only meaningful if it holds up in every area of your life. What we call the 4 F's: financial, firm or career, family, and fitness. If one area is failing, then the others won't feel like success, even if they are all thriving. You can have a successful career and climb the ladder, but if your family life is falling apart, it's still not going to feel like success. Hello there. Have you ever had one of those days where everything feels urgent? Like every task is important, everything needs your attention, and you just get so overwhelmed you don't even know where to start, and you find yourself just on the couch scrolling Facebook or sitting in your office chair constantly checking into emails and there's nothing new there, and you go and start addressing old ones that you've already said you'll do later just because you just don't know where to start. And so you bounce from one pointless task to the next. You try to make progress, and try to find things that are making you feel like you're being productive at the productive, getting stuff done. But at the end of the day, that you didn't really accomplish anything that needed to be accomplished. You are still behind. You still have a to-do list that is the same length. And if any of this sounds familiar, I want you to know that your system's broken. It's not you. It's not a motivation problem. It's not a discipline problem. It's a systems problem. You don't have the effective systems in place to help guide you to what task to work on next. Now, in the last episode, we talked about rhythm, how your life flows, and how productivity starts there. But then once you have a rhythm, you still have to answer that question, okay, what do I actually do? And when? And that's where what I call existence systems and scheduling come in. So existence systems is just something to put things into existence, right? We all have thoughts all day long, or we remember that something needs to get done. But if we don't actually do anything with it, it stays just a thought, sometimes a memory, right? That never pops up again. So that's why I call it putting it into existence, some way to capture that thought, that idea, that thing that needs to get done, or that thing that your kids have said they want to do over and over. But then when you're brainstorming on activities to go do, that one never pops up. Random ideas, random gifts for people, right? You hear them say they want something, but then when it comes to their birthday, you have no idea what to get them. Putting things into existence helps smooth all of that out. So here, in my experience, here's what most planning looks like for people. There's overcomplicated planners, there's long, never-ending to-do lists, and there's no real prioritization. It just becomes this running list of everything that you could do instead of a clear plan for what you should do. So I'm sure we all have it, right? That you can't even see there's words in there we go. Right? The list that just never ends of all the things that you need to do. And it's not in any particular order. It's not in priority. It's just I write down the next thing that pops into my mind. And then what happens? You either freeze because it's overwhelming, or you stay busy all day checking the things off the list, but without making any real meaningful progress. And then you think, I just need to try harder. I just have to work more. I just have to squeeze more time into my day. And that's not the answer. Making better decisions on what to work on is the answer. So here's the shift. A system that makes the decisions for you. Not all of them, of course. It's kind of like AI, right? AI can't take over everything. You still need that human, that human touch. So not all of them, but enough of them that you're not waking up every day trying to figure out your entire life from scratch. Because decision fatigue is real. And the more decisions that you have to make, the more drained you feel and the harder it becomes to follow through with things. So instead of relying on motivation, we build a structure. And this structure follows a rhythm, just like we talked about in the last episode. These are all linked. So think of your planning in layers. You have your 5-year vision. So you build out where you want your life to go, what you want your life to look like 5 years from now, and get really clear on this. So what is step one? Always to get really clear on what you want to be and what is most important to you. And it helps to visualize, to write it out and think about it and then sit there and train and see it. When I wake up in 5 years, what is it that my life looks like? What have I accomplished? I can look back over the last 5 years and here's what I've accomplished. This is where I am in my life. These are the things that are happening because this is what I've led up to and built. And you feel all of those feelings from the success of building your life this way and how it feels to wake up and whatever it is, whatever's most important to you. So wake up and know that, or wake up and homeschool your kids for the first half of the day, and then work in your firm for the second half of the day. Whatever that is, and feel all those feelings of this is exactly what I wanted. This is exactly what I've worked so hard for, and here it is. Right, and then the next is a 1-year plan. So then break down that 5 years of like, this is what I want it to look like. Okay, what do I need to get there? Here's what I'm going to accomplish this year to make one step towards that, 1 year step towards that. What would progress look like this year that would take me closer to that? And then you take your 1-year plan and you break it down into a quarterly focus. And look, you can do this, your 5-year vision, or the way that I do this is 5-year vision is everything. It's a combination of career, family, health, life, all of the things, right? Because this is your vision. This is what you want your entire life to look like. It's very holistic. And then you may want to break out your 1-year plan into different sections, right? You may have a 1-year plan on, health and wellness. And, let's say like part of your 5-year vision is you're regularly running marathons. I don't know, I'm just making something up. Um, Okay, then what do you need to do this year? Maybe this year you'll run your first marathon. Okay, then you need a training plan, right? So you may have a 1-year plan for different areas, a 1-year plan for your career or for your firm, and then a 1-year plan for your family life. It may help to break up the 5-year into separate plans for different areas of your life, and then what would progress look like in this year? And then you break it down further into quarter. Okay, in order to accomplish this 1-year plan, what do I need to focus on this quarter and this quarter and this quarter and this quarter? What, and sometimes we get so caught up in, but I want it all right now, and that's great, but you can't do everything right now. And if you look back over your life, how many years have gone by where you aren't any closer to it because you're trying to do it all to get closer to it. And so you aren't really actually moving the needle forward. No, I don't know what moving the ball forward to actually take yourself closer. So it may feel like, I only work on this quarter, and then I'm working on this quarter, but then I'm never going to get there. Guess what? You're going to get there a lot quicker if you work on something for a quarter and take it across the finish line than if you just move four different things forward one baby step. Okay. And I've seen this in my life. Like I have been like, oh, there's so much to do with my firm. Oh, I need to build out an employee onboarding system, and I need to build out a client onboarding system, and I need to build out the advisory services I'm going to offer, and all of these things. And then, I wake up a year later and I'm like, oh my goodness, like, look at all I've gotten done over this past year. Look at all the things I have in place because I focused on one thing each quarter. So I know that it may feel like, oh, I'm never going to get there, but you will. And then you wake up and be like, oh my goodness, look at all the things I got done. So this is effective. I've seen it in my life, in my firm. These are the tools that I use, so I know that they work. All right, so then breaking it down into the quarters, and then your weekly scheduling. So each week I sit down and, I have my default week, which I talked about on a previous episode, about rhythms. And then and so time blocks there that have shifted over the past 5 years, right? They aren't the same now as they were then. So my default week shifts. It shifts between summer and school year. It shifts between tax season and non-tax season, right? So there are lots of shifts in my default week, but I take that and I have all my time blocks for my defaults, and then I plug in, okay, what am I actually going to do during this hour block that I have for family time? What am I actually going to do for this hour block of client work? Whatever it is that your default week looks like, you start taking the tasks. Okay, so let me break this down a little bit more, my weekly scheduling. So the first thing I do is just a brain dump, a download of everything that needs to get done. And I actually, throughout the week, I have a place where I will jot down. So if something comes up, if one of the kids mentions something and I'm like, oh yeah, I need to do that, or I need to plan that, or I just had the thought, oh, their birthday's coming up, I need to start thinking about their party, or I need to have a conversation with them about what they want to do for their birthday, or, whatever it is, I will just jot that down. And then I do my brain dump and I take that list that I've been creating through the week and then I add those things, or I make sure, if I got them in my brain dump, then obviously I don't add them a second time. But, and then I just get everything like, here's all the random thoughts that I've had, and here's all the things that need to get done at some point, right? And some of them, and then you just, based on that, you can prioritize and you can look. And so then I do an exercise where once I've brain dumped and I've gotten everything out of my brain, all the shoulds, all the coulds, all the woulds, all the things that everyone is telling me you have to do, and all of that is out. Then I have different existence systems. So, this is kind of where I capture all of them, but then I have things like, oh yeah, I thought of this really great gift idea for one of my kids. Okay, now I have a place that I store that. And so I actually have like a binder that I use for my scheduling that has different sections in it that, are kind of like, it has emergency numbers, it has schedules, if they're in sports that season, then I stick their schedule in there. So then when I'm scheduling, I can pull all of these pieces out and look and take it all into account, right? And then it also has, a tab for like gift ideas, and it's where I just capture ideas for gifts. So then when it comes to a birthday or Christmas or whatever, I have a place where it is, and I don't have to sit there and try and think fresh and new. I've been gathering this. All right. So, having different existence systems like that is helpful. I have a book list, and some things can be apps, right? It doesn't all have to be like written piece of paper. And some people like apps more than others. I kind of do a mixture, but I have like a book app where if somebody mentions a book to me that I want, then I put that into existence in my book app. And then when I'm looking for a new book to read, I have a place to reference to go find one. So there's all different kinds of existence systems you can use. And really, again, this too has been a journey and still is a journey of adapting different things and seeing what works best for me. And sometimes in one season of my life, this works best. And then that kind of goes by the wayside and I've tried something else or a new app pops up. And so I do that, right? But putting all your random thoughts into existence somewhere is very, very helpful. It helps things not fall through the cracks as much. All right, so data dump, and then I take a moment and I just set myself around my most important things. So I just, a few minutes to think about what I call my big rocks. What are the most important things in my life? I recenter myself around my values and what I want my life to look like and what are the most important things for me. And going into your scheduling with that mindset helps you set that prioritization and helps you look at the tasks that are going to move you closer to that and the tasks that are just filler busy work. Yeah, maybe it needs to get done, it should get done, but it's not really moving you closer to the life that you want, the goals that you want. And it really helps with prioritizing things. And there are things that have been dump, on my brain dump for a while. And they sit there, and maybe one day I'll get to them, and maybe not. But like clear, straightening out and organizing the storage room that I have. Like, that sounds great. It's a wonderful idea. And it's just not fitting in the season of my life right now. And that's okay. And if I look at that compared to the priorities of what I want my life to look like, and the fact that that hasn't gotten done, well, that doesn't affect the relationship that I have with my children. It doesn't affect the time that I've spent with them and how present I've been able to be with them. And so I'm okay that that continues to sit on the list. All right. I wouldn't be okay with that being done, but I haven't had a game week or a game night in 3 weeks with my kids. So it's okay if something sit there. And that's where that big rocks, that prioritization comes in, excuse me, based on what is important to my life. All right. So, and then daily execution, right? So you set your schedule, excuse me. So I go through and based on that, I prioritize. These are the things that I really need to get done this week. And I put them in. And it helps you too. Like, we all have 24 hours in a day. Nobody has more. And so if you're basing your schedule on those big things, those things that are most important to you, you have to make decisions. Sometimes you have to decide, hey, I really thought this was important, but compared to everything else and the fact that I'm out of time on here, it's not. And be kind to yourself. Be realistic. Don't schedule something that you know is going to take an hour into a 15-minute block. You're setting yourself up for failure if you do that. Your future self is going to get there and be frustrated and upset and thinks that she's a failure because you had an opportunity to schedule a task for the full amount you knew it was going to take and you didn't do that. You tried to squeeze something in into a time block that isn't going to work. And I've done it. Believe me, I've done it. And then I've finished my day and felt like I didn't get anything done and I was irritated and frustrated. But really, I got done what I could in that amount of time. And if I had rewound and looked at it from when I was scheduling it, I could have told you that that was the only thing I was going to get done that day. But I chose to put in three more things and end up feeling frustrated that I didn't get the four things done. I only got the one thing done. So be kind to your future self. You don't want her to feel frustrated and irritated and like she's failing. So set her up for success, right? So that's my weekly scheduling process I go through, and it is so helpful for productivity, guys. Like I don't find myself randomly scrolling through email because that's what I used to do, right? Every time I finished a task, I'd be like, okay, what can I do now? Well, I don't know. Let's go check my email and see if anything pops out at me that needs to get done. Right? And then I would just spend time scrolling through there, looking at emails that I had already looked at that I knew weren't urgent, but there were other things that I needed to do. And that before something would pop in my head, and I'm like, oh, okay, yep, I really need to do that. That really needs to get done before my meeting tomorrow. Okay, that's what I'll work on next, right? But all those few moments that I was just wasting time scrolling email, that all adds up. And then I'm just spending that time spinning my wheels before I'm actually getting started on the next thing. Now I finish one task, I look over at my calendar and I go, okay, next I scheduled da 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 da. Great. I go and I get started on that. Then there's no time wasted trying to figure it out. There's no decision fatigue on what is the next thing that I should be working on. It's already been thought out, it's been prioritized, and it's there. This is the next thing to do. Great. Obviously, this requires some flexibility in the daily execution of it, right? There are times that things are going to pop up. Your kid's sick and you didn't plan for that. Most people don't plan for sickness. And so there will be a little bit of adjustment here, but I'm telling you, it pays off in dividends. It makes a huge difference in your productivity and the amount that you can get done because you are planning it out and prioritizing and working with your rhythms. Okay, so I think that that about wraps it up. Um, this process just makes it all feel really simple and practical. And so if you're thinking, okay, I need this, but where do I start? Start here. Choose your three priorities each day. Again, your big rocks. Don't try and squeeze in 10 or 15, just three. These are the things that if completed, they'll make your day feel like a success. And everything else is just bonus. So pick those three things, get them scheduled in, and then celebrate when you accomplish them, right? Create a not now list. So this is kind of what I was talking about when I was walking through my planning is, and I don't actually move it to a not now list. I just don't schedule it in. But you could make it a separate list, a not now list where they're good ideas. I need to do them. And eventually I do eventually move them. Like if I'm like, okay, I really want to get this done. And then it's just not happening. And then my season is getting even busier rather than less busy. I'm like, okay, it's not happening. Then I shift it to like a longer term list that I do maintain. And it's helpful because then your brain can relax, it's captured somewhere, but it's just not going to fit into your life right now. Kind of like that storage room that I really want. It would be lovely if it got cleaned, but not now, right? And then just give yourself permission to let it go, to not do it today because you have other priorities. Right. So I think one of the biggest shifts here is just realizing that you don't need to do more. You just need to decide what matters and then let the rest wait. And when you have existent systems and scheduling in place, then you stop trying to carry everything in your head and you stop second guessing yourself and you just start moving through your days with more clarity. And clarity creates calm and systems create consistency and it just all feels better. All right, in the next episode, we're going to talk about the final piece of this productivity that I've been talking about over the last few episodes. And honestly, it's the one that really ties everything together: integrity. Because even the best system only works if you actually follow through with it. All right, so take a look at your current planning process and ask yourself, is my system helping me decide, or is it just leaving me overwhelmed? And then do something about it. All right, that's it for today's episode. At CPA Moms, we believe that women can have a successful career and raise a happy family. If you are ready to embrace work-life harmony and connect with like-hearted women, join our CPA Moms Facebook community. Just click the link in the show notes or search CPA Moms on Facebook. We can't wait to welcome you. Until next time, thank you for being here. We see you, we believe in you, and we can't wait to grow with you.